Some places are supposed to close at night, but what if something stays behind? This is the night I learned not everything inside a supermarket is for sale. Some things are waiting for you. I never expected my job at the supermarket to turn into a nightmare. It was just another late-night shift. I'm Messi, and I work the night shift at a small, quiet supermarket. My partner for the shift, Bossman Dlow, was the kind of guy who could joke about anything, no matter how eerie or serious. Together, we always made it through those slow nights. That evening, things were typical. We stocked shelves, cleaned up spills, and waited for the clock to hit closing time. The supermarket lights buzzed faintly overhead. The aisles were empty, and the air smelled faintly of disinfectant and stale bread. It felt normal, except something didn't sit right. I couldn't explain it, just a feeling at the back of my mind. But I ignored it, thinking I was just tired. It started with a noise, small, but enough to make us freeze. We were in the snack aisle when it happened. A sharp thud echoed from the back of the store, just loud enough to cut through the silence. I froze. Bossman Dlow looked at me with raised eyebrows. "What was that?" I whispered. He shrugged, smirking as usual. Probably a rat knocking something over, but it wasn't. Another noise followed, like faint scratching on metal. This time, we both looked toward the storage area at the back of the supermarket. The lights overhead flickered, just once, but enough to make my heart skip a beat. Bossman Dlow laughed it off. "Come on, Messi. It's just an old building. Don't go getting scared now." I nodded and smiled, but my gut told me otherwise. Something was off. It was standing there, not moving, not breathing. I split off from Bossman Dlow to finish up near the dairy section. That's when I saw it. Something standing at the far end of aisle 7. It wasn't clear at first, just a shadowy figure, perfectly still, its shape blending into the shelves. My breath caught in my throat. "Hello," I called out, my voice shaky. No answer. The figure didn't move, it just stood there. Slowly, I took a step closer, trying to see if it was a person. But the moment I blinked, it was gone. I spun around, heart pounding. Bossman Dlow appeared from behind the aisle, munching on chips. "You good, bro? You look like you've seen a ghost." I shook my head. I thought I saw someone here. He laughed. "Relax, man. You've been watching too many horror movies." But I wasn't convinced. I could still feel eyes on me. There's one section no one opens, and for good reason. Later, while cleaning near the back, I brought up what I saw. Bossman Dlow smirked again. "You know there's a locked room back here, right? No one uses it. Place has been closed off for years. What's inside?" I asked, suddenly curious and nervous. "No clue," he replied. "Some old storage, I guess. But they say weird stuff happens back there." I stared at the metal door at the end of the hallway. It was old, rusted, and locked shut. But faint scratching sounds were coming from behind it. We both heard it this time. Bossman Dlow's smirk disappeared. "Let's check it out," he said, trying to sound brave. I didn't want to go in, but we had no choice. Curiosity pulled us forward. The door slammed shut and the darkness swallowed us whole. The door creaked as Bossman Dlow forced it open. Inside was a storage room, dusty, dark, and forgotten. Old shelves lined the walls, filled with expired cans and broken mannequins. The air was thick, stale, and something smelled rotten. I stepped inside cautiously, my flashlight beam cutting through the gloom. Suddenly, the door slammed behind us with a force that made the walls shake. We both jumped. Bossman Dlow ran to the door, yanking at the handle. "It's stuck," he yelled. I spun around. The mannequins, they looked different now. Were they closer? I swear one of them was facing us when it wasn't before. Then I heard it, a faint whisper, so close it felt like someone was breathing down my neck. "I swear to you." One of them turned its head. I turned my flashlight toward the mannequins and my heart stopped. One of them shifted just slightly. "Dlow," I whispered, my voice trembling. What? He barked, still pulling at the door. They're moving. He looked over, his eyes wide now, too. We both watched as one of the mannequins' heads turned. Slowly, deliberately, the whispers grew louder, circling us. Shadows danced along the walls, moving on their own. I felt cold, so cold, like the air itself was alive. We ran, but the shadows followed us. Bossman Dlow kicked the door, and finally it flew open. We bolted into the main supermarket, the lights flickering wildly. The whispers followed us, echoing through the aisles. I turned back just once and saw it, a shadowy figure walking toward us. Its shape was twisted unnatural. Run! I shouted. We sprinted toward the front exit. The automatic doors didn't budge at first, like they were stuck. Behind us, the figure was getting closer. Finally, the doors opened with a screech, and we stumbled into the cold night air. I looked back, and it was smiling. We didn't stop running until we were halfway across the parking lot. Only then did I dare to look back. The figure was standing inside the supermarket, its shadow stretching across the glass. And then it smiled. Not a human smile. Something far darker. We never went back, and the supermarket never opened again. The next day, the supermarket was closed. No one ever said why. Bossman Dlow, and I never talked about that night again. People wouldn't believe us even if we tried. But I'll tell you this. If you ever find yourself in an empty supermarket after hours, don't go near the back. And whatever you do, don't listen to the whispers. Some doors are better left closed, because you never know what might be waiting behind them.